And then I will start presenting. Hold on one second. And there we go. Okay. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? All right, so this is the home screen for my Google Classroom. Now, if you've not used Google Classroom before, you probably won't have all of these classes. The one thing you really need to make sure of is in this top right-hand corner that you are using your HCDE email or Google account. So if you see your little picture up there in the corner, make sure that's your HCDE. Otherwise, it's not going to let you do the things that teachers can do on Google Classroom. So we're going to start with how do you actually create or add a class. So up here in the right-hand corner over next to the waffle and then your little icon is a plus button. And the plus button is used to create or join a class. Oh, I forgot how to get to Google Classroom. You can get to Google Classroom in one of two ways. You can go to classroom.google.com and that will take you to Google Classroom as long as you're logged into your HCDE account. Or if you're in your Drive, this waffle button, of course, has all of our Google Suite tools in there, and you'll see that there is a classroom icon in there as well. So you can click the classroom icon and get there as well. But if we click join or create a class, we're going to start with create a class. We're going to get to join a class a little bit later, so create. Once you create a class, it's going to give you a couple options. The class name is really the only thing here that is required. So you'll come up with a class name. It's really up to you. You could have the name of the subject area, and then down where it says section, or you could do if you had separate classes for separate periods. If you had period 1, period 2, period 3, you could actually section them out. Sometimes some people like to have all their students in one class. If you are consistent, if you have two subjects, sections of the same subject, you could do them all together if you want to. So I'm going to say this is our Google Classroom demo class. And another thing that Maddie likes to do in this section is put her email. So I'm going to put my email here, and you'll notice it's going to pop up and put that right in the banner for our new class. So I'm just going to use those two. Like I said, you don't have to fill these in. The first one's the only one that is required. So when we click create, it'll take a second. Maybe. There we go. And here's our Google Classroom demo class. So you can see that there's the title that I put in, and then that was the section information where I put my email, and it's right up there for students whenever they need it. Now, a couple things. I'm actually not an art teacher, so this theme might not work for me just aesthetically. There is a little section over here in the bottom right-hand corner of the banner that allows you to either select a different theme or upload a photo. So I'm going to go to select theme, and there's different topics, obviously math, arts, science, sports. I happen to be an English person, so I'm going to choose an English banner. Select class theme. Yeah, that's much better. And you could also end up uploading a photo too. You can, have something in your gallery of your photos. You could create something. Maddie's, I think one of the links that she put in the chat was for a Google Slide template to create your own banner artwork. So you could actually personalize this banner completely using that template. So that's kind of neat too. So when you get finished with your personalization, you'll see here at the top that this is basically your homepage for your screen. It's kind of like logging into Facebook. And your stream, much like Facebook does, the top will be the most recent posts. So everything that you post, the most recent ones, will generate towards the top of your stream. So if we go to share something with your class, that's how we actually create something. And you'll notice it gives you kind of a little guide here. Communicate with your class here, create and schedule announcements, respond to student posts. So I'm going to click on here, and this is where you would create an announcement. An announcement's not an assignment. It's not going to generate something that you would grade. It's not going to be something that they have due dates for. It's just it'll be able to post an announcement in your class to your students. So let's say for today that classes will meet in the computer lab today. So you could literally just post an announcement. But I want to show you a couple features for announcements. First one on this left hand right underneath where it says for, you can choose which class you want it to post in. So let's say, like I said before, if you had English 1, but you had period 1, period 2, period 3, 3 different sections, you could post in all 3 sections at one time. Or you could choose whichever class you wanted it to go to. Over here on the right where it says all students, you actually have an opportunity to post to more than one student at a time. So if we had a class list in here, which we don't yet, we'll get there. We don't yet, but if we had more than one student, you could check this off and then click whichever students you wanted it to go to. So if you were having a lunch meeting with just a few students or a focus group, you could make an announcement reminding them of that and choosing only the students that were going to attend. At the bottom, this is the add button. The add button allows you to add different links and different items to your announcements, just like you can to assignments. You can choose anything that you could have in your Google Drive. I like that it pulls up the most recent stuff first, so it has all my recent things. You could do uploads from your computer. You could search the different files in your drive, even shared drives that you might have with other people. So this is a nice option. Anything in your Google Drive can be added to an announcement. Links from websites, of course, files from your computer, and then YouTube videos. You can actually search by name or by URL. So that one's really helpful too, name or URL there. So you can attach those. So let's say I wanted to add a funny video. I pushed out a funny video yesterday to my students at home during this distance learning. It was a song from Rapunzel about when she was going through all the things she does during the day in the tower because she never gets to leave the tower. And I added that as a YouTube link to my students to make them laugh. So, but this is announcements. Another good thing you can do with announcements as well as assignments, you can post them right now. And that means it's going to be like, bing, everyone's going to be able to see it immediately. Or you can schedule an announcement or an assignment. So it usually defaults to the next day, but you could make it post for, let's say, tomorrow morning. I could put it in at 8 a.m. And if I click schedule, then it would save this announcement up here, saved announcements, until it was that scheduled time tomorrow, 8 a.m. Right? So I could click on that, and if I wanted to, I could schedule it, like I said, or if I wanted that to post right now, I could change and have it post more recently or whatever it might be. So that is the announcement feature. Does anyone have any questions about announcements, just basic announcements that you do in Google Classroom before we keep going to assignments?
I'm going to hop in for just a second and explain and answer out loud because it's kind of hard to type. So Rose was questioning kind of limits with the HCD account and emails and Google Site, like just kind of overall, like, is this going to be easy to access for kiddos through an HCD account? So this is very easy. When you're referencing Google Sites, I want to investigate that for you. When you click the share button, and I can show this at the end again. When you click the share button, as long as you as an HCD employee, not a student, students can't do this, you can go in and change who has access to it. And so I can change my draft to be anyone with the link, and that includes outside of Hamilton County. Or I can change if once you've done and you've published it, I can change it again to anyone can find this version, even outside of Hamilton County. So I can show that at the end, but I just didn't want her to think I forgot about her. But Rose, yes, Google Classroom is very simple with the HCD accounts, and she's going to go over kind of like what the parents could see instead of joining your class. But with Google Sites, I can refresh that answer at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Google Classroom and all of these were made to work together. And that's one nice thing about the Google Apps for Education suite is that they all kind of talk. Which is really nice. When we were using Edmodo years and years and years ago, they didn't talk well with each other. And this is a really nice version that kind of just everybody talks well within the HCDE realm. So, all right, let's move on.
Julie, really quick, I'm so sorry. Julie asked if she can see us add the YouTube video. Julie, if you don't mind, we'll do that really quick at the end, but you are more than welcome to, we are happy to show you how to add a YouTube video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet.
Okay, cool. Yeah, remind me of that towards the end. All right, so let's say the next thing I want to do is add some people, because that would be nice to actually have some students in the class. You can do this one of two ways. On this home screen here, you'll notice right underneath the name of the class and my email that we put in there is something called a class code. And then it's teeny tiny. There's this little box and it says display. If you were in class with your people, with your lovelies, with your students, you could display this up on a whiteboard or on a TV and kind of be like, here, go to Google Classroom, click that little plus button. Instead of create a class, click join and join a class. So they could put that code in. Now, with the distance learning, you could do this, take a picture of it, maybe send it to them. Or you could go up to where it says people. When you go up to the people section, it has a section for teachers. That's me because I created the class. And then it has a section for students. So it has the code here again, but then there's this little people button, share button, where you could actually type in the email of a student. So I'm going to type in Maddie's email, and I'm going to invite her as if she was a student. And it might take a second. She'll actually get a Gmail or an email through her HCDE account that will allow her to join our class. Now, what you want to do is you definitely want to save this for students only. You do not want to be adding parents in your student role here underneath Google Classroom. The reason you don't want to do that is because the parents will get every assignment notification. And when you go to grade those assignments, you will have to actually fish through which of the people are parents and which of the people are your students. It just kind of creates a whole mess. And you really want to keep the parents out of the student role. You don't want other teachers in here, you just want students. If you have co-collaborator teachers, maybe you have another teacher that teaches English 1 and you want them to have access, or maybe you have a department head or a lead that wants to have access just in case, God forbid, you got sick or had to miss and needed a sub. You could add them here under the teachers, just like you did. You could put their email in or with the code like we showed you at the beginning. So you could do either one. Oh, look, Madison Lowry has joined my class. So she probably got her email and she checked it and now she's here. So this tab right here that says invite guardians, that's actually specifically for families and guardians. This is a place where you can go in and type in the emails of your family's parents, guardians, whoever it might be for that student. And they would receive a summary of that student's work and announcements and everything that's on Google Classroom. A couple really cool things. The families can choose whether to get those announcements daily or weekly. And they can also decide too, they can see their missing work. They can see the posts that have been made for those classes. And you only have to put them in one class and it will show them the summaries for every Google Classroom that that student is in. So you don't have to do it for every single class. You do it one time and boom, they see everything. So that's a really nice feature. Oftentimes we'll be at, our first like open house or something, and we'll have a computer open and have parents tossing their emails in there left and right. So that's a really nice place. Put that there. There's also some settings that you can set for students up here. If you go to the gear within the people section, the settings, it has your class details, but underneath general, there's a really important one that says stream, because you need to decide what permissions you want your students to have and access you want them to have in your class. You can set them as students can post and comment, but that basically means they have almost every right that you have as far as that stream's concerned. Little Johnny can go in, he can make a post, everybody can see it immediately. I'm not sure whether you want them to have that much control over the stream of your class. I kind of usually default on this second one. I usually default and the students can only comment. That way I'm the one who makes the post. If the students have questions about it and they want the whole class to see, maybe it's a question they think everybody needs the answer to, they can actually comment in the mainstream to everyone. Or you can put it as only teachers can post or comment. If you choose this one, then students can really only make comments on individual assignments and that would be private to you. So really you get to decide. This is one thing what I really like about Google Classroom. You get to decide how much access and how much control the students have over these features. As far as the classwork on the stream, this, you can decide how much you see. Do you want to see all the attachments and the details in the stream? Do you want a condensed version? I like to show everything so that the kids see everything in the stream. That way they don't have to go in and open everything, but it's completely up to you what you want it to look like. Guardian summaries, again, make sure that's turned on so that you can put those Guardian emails in there. This actually shows you an example of what one might look like. So it kind of tells you that it will show missing work, upcoming work, class activity, that they get to actually choose. I believe it says up here, yes, Guardians choose the frequency of the emails, daily or weekly. And then this is what it looks like when it goes to their email. They'll see what's missing. They'll have specifically the student's name at the top, but then you'll see that all of the classes that they're in, not just one, will be listed there. I know I've got mine set to come weekly about my kids. So yeah, poor things. So anyway, those are some settings that you can set for students. When you get down here to grading too, and we're going to talk about that a little later, there are some settings as far as adding like categories and things for grading, but it does not automatically import to PowerSchool, so you'll have to make some decisions about how much you want to use the grading aspect of Google Classroom. So if you want to get back to your home page and your stream, you can choose stream here, or you can choose the demo class, the name of the class as well. Anybody have any questions about people and how to add students before I move on to classworks and assignments? No? All right, so I'm going to move on to classwork then. And the classwork tab is where you manage your assignments. So you'll notice here that it says assign work to your class here. You can create assignments and questions and use topics. So I'm going to show you all of those kind of features. This button's great. This is our create button, and this is where you go to create anything that you want to push out to your students as work. So we're going to start with assignment, start at the top. When we click on the assignment tab, you'll notice it'll bring you up a screen where you can create a new assignment. So I'm going to create just a sample demo. We're going to do expository essay assignment because that's my world. So, and because Maddie's in my class, it will actually push it out to her. So we'll be able to actually show you what this looks like. So you can add instructions. Be sure to use MLA format, right? So you can put instructions here for your assignment. You can put any information you think the students need to know in order to complete that. Here's the best part. You can add or create files that you want to include on this assignment. If you click add, much like before, you can choose anything from your Google Drive, any link from the computer, any file that you have, link from the website, from the web, file from your computer, or a YouTube link that you want to put in there. So let's say I wanted to add something from my Google Drive. I tend to push out templates for my students a lot. So I'm going to see, oh, here we go. Here's a template. I like that it pulls up my most recent ones. So I'm going to add a template there that the students could use. You could also create something new for the students. So let's say you wanted to create a new document for them to use or a new Google slide for them. You want them to do this on a Google slide. Then you could create the Google slide right here for them. The nice part about adding something here for the students, like a template, either something you've created before or something you create now, is that you have some options. You can choose that the students will only be able to view this file. That means they cannot change it, add to it. They can't modify it in any way. It's just a resource you want them to see. Maybe notes, maybe just a file, maybe a crash course video you want them to watch, whatever it might be. This next part, students can edit file, sounds really good, but you have to be careful. If you choose students can edit file, that actually means that every student can edit and change this one document. So this is best for like collaborative work, groups, if everybody's going to be adding to notes or creating a document together, but it's not great if you want work from every individual student. If you want work, or if I want an essay from each individual student in this class, I want to make a copy for each student. By doing that, it automatically makes a copy of this document that I put on here, and it immediately puts the student's name and the title of this assignment on the document so they don't lose it. It's also already attached to the assignment, so I can see their work from the moment they open it to the minute that they submit it. So I can see from beginning to end. This is probably one of my favorite features with writing, especially because I can see their entire writing process from start to finish. Over here on the right side, you have a couple more features. Underneath where it says for, it defaults to the class you're in. However, again, if you teach more than one section of English or math or whatever it might be, you can choose to actually have it post to more than one class or a different class than you're in. You can also choose which students you want it to go to. So here you can see that Maddie's part of my class now. So if this was an assignment I want to choose everyone, I click all students. If it's something I'm only pushing out to a few, let's say I have a few that we need to do some review work on a concept that they need improvement on, I can uncheck all students and just choose the students that I wish to send the assignment to. That's a great feature. Points. So we talk about grading. Google Classroom right now only grades on a point system, does not grade on a letter system at all. So if you do standards-based grading, like proficiency and advanced and below basics, you cannot put letters into the grading system. Now you can transfer them. So like for us, advanced are 100s or proficiency or 85s. So you could do 185 here instead. But otherwise, it would have to be points. You could choose ungraded, and I'll show you what that looks like for like my students. Sometimes I'll choose ungraded, and I'll just write something in a comment as far as what they earned. You choose a due date, not just date, but you can also choose the time. So let's say I wanted her to turn this in by tomorrow, and I want it by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I could actually choose date and time, or no time at all. Topics. Topics are things that you get to actually create. You can create a specific topic. You could do it in here. You could do it in the classwork. So let's say I want to create a topic for our Google Classroom training. When I create that topic and choose it, it will actually put it in that topic in classwork, which I'm going to show you when we're done. Rubric, this is a new feature. I have not actually used this rubric feature. I usually attach my own rubrics, but you can actually go in and create a rubric that you have, or actually reuse or import a rubric. When you create a rubric, same thing, it'll have you identify the columns and identify the point, the levels and everything. I just haven't used it within this system yet. Originality reports, Maddie's going to talk a little bit more about. This is a way, especially with writing, that you can ask Google to check for plagiarism. You can actually enable 3 reports per class on 3 different assignments. And from what I hear is that if you enable this, the students can actually check their own work for plagiarism before they even turn it in. So that's an option as well. So when you go through all of that, you click Assign. And we wait just a second. And there it is. So you can actually see that this was my topic that I created, and it put my assignment within. So if I wanted to create more than one topic, let's say I have different units over the course of the year, I can actually go to my Create button, come down to the bottom, create a new topic, let's say Unit 1, and I can add that. And anything you create, the newest work goes towards the top. It's just the way that it works. It looks like Facebook. Everything new pops up to the top. But if I didn't want that one up to the top right now, if I wanted this one, I could go over to these dots. And notice it'll let me change the name if I wanted to change it to something. I could delete my topic, but I could also move it up. If I move it up, it will pop it and move all of this around. I could also drag assignments and move them around as well.
Hey, Lisa, can I add something that we learned yesterday, kind of the hard way through somebody in the in the session? So she forgot about the dragging tool. So she went into her assignment, clicked the 3 dots, and edited the actual topic that she had originally put it in. What we did not realize, including me, I had no idea that this would happen. So notice how right now Lisa has it set, each student will get a copy. When she edited it through the assignment itself, it actually went back to the students can edit this copy. So all of a sudden, all the student answers start going onto her thing, and she's like, I did it right. What happened? So I highly recommend the dragging it rather than editing in the doc, because it switched her. Each student will get a copy. I mean, it's very bizarre, but never knew that would happen.
Well, another thing that I've noticed too, just in using it myself, is if I go in, if you want every student to have a copy of a document that you attach, if you don't do that at the beginning, like when you create it, if I go into edit here, notice I can't change this. So if you forget and you put it in as view only, you can't go back and make every student will get a copy. You have to actually delete the assignment and do it again. That's one of the limitations. You have to do it at the get-go, at the very beginning. So that's one of the few limitations that I have found with creating assignments. So any questions about assignments in general?
I had a quick question.
You bet.
Because I'm taking extensive notes, I was looking down when you finished everything and you said, now click assign. One of my problems is knowing where to look at a whole screen with lots of things on it. Where was that assign thing once you finished everything and you clicked assign so it actually went through?
All right, so I'll go back in and create like a new assignment, and it's up here in the top right-hand corner. Do you see it up here?
Yeah. Oh,
So
up there, the assign. That's
Yep.
where once you finished everything, that will show up in the top.
It will, and you actually have the same options that you do here as you do with the announcements. You can choose to assign it immediately. You can choose to schedule it for a later date, because sometimes I'll be working in the in the evening or at the beginning of the week, and I'll like set up my stuff for like the next 2 or 3 days, to post. So you can actually schedule it for a day, 2 days, a week out, or you could save it if you get distracted and I don't know, somebody says you have to do an IEP meeting like right now, and you can, you can save your draft and come back and work on it later. But this is kind of nice because you can schedule your assignments to post at a later time. But once you fill out everything in here, this will actually pop up blue and be like, okay, let's go.
Okay.
Honestly, if I just do a demo activity, it will pop up blue and let me assign it like that.
Okay.
And then it'll let me schedule it just like before. Same thing.
Okay, great. And
Okay.
can I ask another quick question? Because I was muted before because I was warned that people didn't want to see me or hear me for a while.
No, that's okay.
Anyway, back when I've got an existing class that was already in Google Classroom, but I signed up everybody individually for a new class now that we're doing this.
Okay.
And I was noticing where you clicked on, like there's a little where you can click the check mark to the left of their names. And I wanted them just to respond to let me know they were in there. Like you have right there, that little box to the left. Now I was just clicking it just to let me know that they responded. Now I'm doing it somewhere else, but does that remove them? What does that click do?
It can. If I check her, you'll notice that this action box pops up. See, it's gray, but if I check her now, it's blue. It gives you the option to do a couple things here. Email that student that you've checked, remove those students that you've checked, or mute. Email doesn't work very well. The HCD email goes through Outlook. So if you choose to email a student through Google Classroom, they will not receive it. You have to email them through Outlook. So that one honestly is kind of we just can't use it in here. Now remove is going to kick them out.
So since I painstakingly got them all in there, as long as I don't do that action and remove, I can leave the check there until I get everybody signed. And then I can see who's done it. It just seemed an easy way to have their names listed.
Yeah, as long as you don't go to that action box, you should be fine.
Yeah. So, and then I can go back and I can get rid of the checks, later on, so it doesn't accidentally happen.
Yeah, all you have to do is click this main button here. It'll take everybody's off. This is
the top button. Okay.
Yeah. The mute is interesting too. If you've got one of your lovelies who is deciding that this is their own personal Instagram post area instead of Google Classroom, which should be academic only.
Oh,
you need to quiet them, let's say, for example, but you didn't want to quiet everyone. You have that they can comment on posts or whatever it might be up in those settings, that you set over here, when you went to your settings box and you decided that they could, students could comment. But now little Johnny's just not getting the hang of it, if you know what I mean. You could go in and quiet little Johnny.
So that little Johnny can't comment. That is perfect because I was just discussing that with Kirsten Legas earlier.
Yeah.
And we got an ugly post from somebody. She said, we need to get everybody out of there. And he was the only one that sent something through that his mother would not want to see.
You could mute just the one, and you could also use it as a teaching moment, obviously, nothing saying you couldn't screenshot that and send it to guardians and families and moms and dads and all that good stuff. That would be something I would do. But you can absolutely mute on a one-to-one basis.
Okay, that is handy to know. Right now, we've told them only to email me and not to try to post. So we might try to block everybody from posting right now.
We usually mention to the students that a stream is for everyone. And if they have a question that is just for them, then that should be possibly a private email or a private comment.
Right.
And they can do private comments. Like if I go back to classwork where I pushed out these assignments. So if I go into this assignment here that I pushed out to and Maddie's in my class, and I go to view assignment, or I click on this because you do need to kind of open it fully to view assignment. And she's here, right?
Yeah, there she is.
Right. I click. You can actually see down here at the bottom, there's a place for private comments. And the students have that as well. So I usually tell them, if you have something you need to ask me, if you need to speak with me, send me either a private email, or within an assignment, send me a private comment. And that makes a huge difference, where they can, only send it to you specifically, and they kind of get used to that. I'm going to show you too what this looks like from a student perspective, because I believe, I think so. I'm going to go to my classes. Maddie made me a class and made me a student in this class the other day. So I want to show you what the students see, because I know we always see what the teachers see, but we don't always see what the students see. So I'm going to go to my classwork, because in this class, I'm a student. Here we are. And I have a test assignment. Actually, I'm going to go to the other one. I'm going to go to this assignment here. This is one thing you do need to tell your students to do if they're not used to this. They have to click view assignment, or they're not going to see the whole thing. So they click view assignment, and notice what happens up here. They have their work. I actually created, I think, a document in this one, but they could, create it. But notice that here they have a place to add all class comments, and this is one place where they get confused. Class comments means everybody sees it. Private comments means it's only for your teacher, between you and me, kind of thing. So that's what they have to know the difference. So tell them, if you have something you need to ask me, send me a private comment. And that's going to be huge. Okay.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, definitely.
And because of this that just happened this morning, I'm just so seeing this.
God bless, right?
Okay. After that happened, because it was just so unexpected.
Yes. And this is where too you can kind of see that when the students create work, or when it's created for them, like this is a document that Maddie sent out in this class for me as her student. You'll see up here at the top my name and the title of the assignment here. Mm-hmm. And even if the teacher doesn't send something out, let's say you just want them to create a new document, if they create their document in the assignment rather than go to their drive and create just I don't know how many, 25 million untitled documents that they have in their drive, right? If they create it in here, if it says create a new document in this assignment or whatever, and or even just a slides, let's do a slides this time. It will put their name and the title of the assignment on that document and attach it to the assignment immediately.
So everything you're doing now are steps that students do, not the teacher.
This is a student view right here. This is I'm a student in this class. Maddie's my teacher. We did some demo classes to be able to play around and show you this is what students see. When they open up their assignments, their work, their documents that they're working on will be in this little box over here. And you can see that it's assigned but not turned in. Mm-hmm. If they create anything here within the assignment new, it puts them on it. They can also upload any work that they have been doing as well. And then when they're done, they click turn in. When they click turn in, once they hit that button, it freezes their work. If I opened up any of these assignments now and tried to, do something with it, you'll notice that now it says request edit access, because once it's turned in, I can't write on it until you give it back to me.
Now you clicked in 2 turn-ins, right? It's like you clicked one, then it showed something else, and you clicked another turning in.
It gives them a warning shot, like, are you sure?
Oh, okay. That's the second one.
It gives you like, are you sure you're ready to turn this in? Because it's going to freeze it and you're not going to be able to do anything. If like they turn it in and like, oh no, I forgot to, I don't know, do my works cited page or something, right? They can unsubmit it. And then
give them the choice.
It will let them, it should. And then when they go back to it, see, it'll reload the page. And then I can now, I can actually do stuff.
Does it keep it as it is so they can go back in and fix it? It doesn't start over again from scratch.
Keeps it as it is.
Okay. That is so handy for English.
Yeah. I love it for English. And, Google autosaves, which is like, we love that. We love the autosave. Okay. And so everything that they do should be saved there. Mm-hmm. So nice. If you have a PDF that you're pushing out to students, it gets a little trickier. Google works a whole lot better with just docs and things. But if you do have a PDF that you're pushing out to students, you can get different Google extensions. Like up here, I don't know if you're noticing, there's one called Doc Hub, I believe. There's also another one called Cami, where they can upload their PDFs right on it. You can actually write on them if you need to grade them and give them back. So, yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing there. I'm going to get into the grading in a little bit, but I do want to go back to classwork as a teacher and show you some of these other options, because we really only looked at assignment. So any questions about assignments before I move on to a couple of these other types of posts? Okay. All right, great. The next one, the quiz assignment. A lot of people know the new feature with Google Forms where you can make them into a quiz. Google Classroom added this as a type of assignment where you can actually create your own quiz and it will create your own Google form. So let's say I wanted to do a Romeo and Juliet quiz, which I would never do, but that's okay. A Romeo and Juliet quiz, and it automatically creates the form. Now, if they're using their Chromebooks, this is really cool. You can actually make it a locked mode so that when they open this form and open this quiz, they cannot Google anything. They can't look up anything.
We were just talking about that in our math meeting earlier. Everybody, that was one of the longest discussions, was how do we keep them from cheating?
Right here. Now, mind you, if you're using a computer at home and it's like mom and dad's computer, all bets are off. Yeah, we can't control that right now, and so God grant me the serenity. We can only control what we can control. But if they're using their Chromebook and do this, you can actually lock it on their Chromebook so that there you go.
Is that automatically there? Because lots of times you don't know what to click on. Is that automatically there, or do you have to click something to get the locked mode?
It is automatically there underneath this quiz assignment.
Yeah, I was just wondering, when it says locked mode, when that showed up,
it did.
Is it in locked mode now, or was there something extra you click on to make it lock?
Slide this little lovely thing right here.
When you slide that, then that automatically locks it, so you have to lock it on purpose.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have to purposely do that. Now, it has grade importing. I'm pretty sure what that means is that it will actually take the scores from the Google form and put them into this assignment if you choose to have it as a point system. I'm pretty sure that's what that means. So as you're setting this up for points, as you go into your Google form and set it up as a quiz and you create your question, you can actually have an answer key. You can assign points for each of your answers. Right? And then it will actually import the points from that Google form into the Google Classroom. Now, it will not import these points into PowerSchool. It does not, we don't have that connection yet. So anything that you have in Google Classroom that you put in as grades for your students, you have to go in and put into PowerSchool separately. So that's really important to know.
Right. So now for assignment, there's a blank something or other. I can type on that and send to them as well. On the previous assignment thing, I can type stuff in and send it off to them.
Yes.
So they can have that. Whereas if they don't want to see my face doing something live, I can type in there and they can read it.
Absolutely.
While we're doing it on my Elmo.
Mm-hmm.
They can see it that way too. Oh, that
might be a good time to cover the material versus assignment thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So along with the quiz assignment and regular assignment, there's something called material. So materials, really, this is if you want to push out materials that you don't want to actually grade the students. You're not grading them on anything. This is just resources for possibly the unit or the topic that you're covering, or for the section that you're doing right now. So you can actually, add the title in and add documents, like maybe it's some notes that you're going to post for them, or maybe you had a Google slide with a lot of information for that unit, or maybe a video, that crash course video that you want them to see. You can put this in as a material, put it underneath a specific topic, right? And then you could say, let's say Google Class, room slides or whatever it might be, and then I attach the slides and I save it. And when I post it, it looks different. It actually looks like a book with a bookmark. And that's how the students know that this is a material information that they need but don't have to actually do anything with, versus an assignment which looks like this little clipboard. See the difference?
Yeah.
And so Yeah, oops, I went the wrong place. So that's materials. I love that one. I use that one a lot. Question will allow you to post a question to your class, kind of a conversation starter if you wanted to, maybe as a warm-up or maybe to start a discussion. It actually allows you to post a question. The students can comment onto the question once it's posted, and then they kind of have this running stream of kind of a discussion board. And then there's one that says reuse post. This one's kind of cool. If you reuse a post, it will actually let you select something from any of the classes that you are a teacher in to reuse. So same thing if you had a class and you had different sections of a class, so you had different Google Classrooms for that section, you could go into one of your classes. Here, I actually have Romeo and Juliet resources. This is a material, so I'll show you this one. And I can reuse that for this class. And it's going to ask me, is that really what you want to do? And I'll say, yes. And when I post it up here in the corner, you'll see that that posted here. And it has these materials have all the materials that I pushed out to my students for Romeo and Juliet, the text version, the character chart, some links. This is a graphic novel. It's hilarious. This is audio on YouTube. So they don't have to do anything with it. It's not an assignment, but our resources to help them do what I'm asking them to do. So.
I have a quick question.
Absolutely.
Point. I was feeling frustrated 2 days ago, thinking that as a math teacher, because you can always come up with creative things for English, and I've been an English teacher too, their books are all still at school.
Mm.
Their books are there, which you can normally use as a resource and say, go to page such and such.
Right.
There is no way in the world they're going to get their books at this point, is there?
Probably not, but two things. I'm holding a math. I don't know what level of math. What level of math do you teach?
Well, right now I'm Algebra 2.
Okay, perfect.
Algebra 2 is the biggie.
So I'm going to hold a math kind of secondary online resources thing next Monday. So highly recommend that. But also you could use this to link videos. And I recommend if you want to do a resource, link them to the Khan Academy videos. That's pretty standards based. So you can go through and find systems of equations. And instead of saying like, hey, reference page such and such, they have videos and they have articles for pretty much every topic I've ever taught in math.
That would be great because Khan Academy actually does do the teaching for you.
Yeah. So as long as you link them to like the exact spot, so you could do the material she just did and link them to that video directly so they're not having to wave through everything to figure out where that would be at.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm signing people up for Khan Academy, because that would be a goodie for me to use. I've done it before, but I've had classes where they just used it individually if they thought they needed the extra work. But if I want to be able to see what they've done now that we're doing this, there's a way that I need to go in and try to get them all signed up so that I can see their work and they're responsible to me. So that's a different way to do it, isn't it?
It's very, very minorly different. Can you stay on at the end of the video and I will show my screen and I can show you how I do that?
If I could get that locked in, that would really help me next week.
Okay. Yeah, I'll as soon as we end this and everybody leaves, could you just stay on and I can show my screen and walk you through that?
Totally. Thank you.
Sweet.
All right.
Easy.
So a couple more things I want to show you in the classwork tab, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like to actually grade assignments in Google Classroom. So there's two things up here on the right-hand side that say Google Calendar and Class Drive folder. Every class that you make in Google Classroom creates a Google Drive folder. And within that Google Drive folder would be anything that you actually post in that class. So it makes a copy of it and keeps it within Google Drive, which is really nice so that you can refer back to it if you need to, and your students can refer back to it as well. For Google Calendar, all of our Google Classrooms sync with their Hamilton County email Google Calendar. Now, my Google Calendar is crazy, but you can actually see that the assignments post in their Google Calendar. You can see ours on the 20th here. So you can actually have the students use their Google Calendar as their to-do list kind of thing. They can go in and see when things are due, and that's really helpful. There's another way for them to see when things are due, and if you go to the 3 lines over here on the left-hand corner, all the way at the top, it gives a list of all the classes. It also has that link to their Google Calendar, but then it has this thing that says to do. This is a to-do list for all of their classes. You can click and check just one, like we did. these had some, due dates, work in progress. It will show them what's missing, what's due soon, which is work in progress. And then if they go to reviewed, they'll actually see what's already been graded. We don't have anything reviewed quite yet. So I could probably change this for one of my other classes, like my English class, and you can see works in progress, things without due dates, and then, of course, reviewed work, different things like that. So pretty nifty. So that's helpful too. Another thing underneath those 3 lines over here in the corner that you really need to ask your students to do is turn on their notifications. Go all the way down to the bottom of this list, and hopefully if you don't have a lot of classes, it shouldn't be that far, and you click on settings. This setting is a little different than the one before. Under these settings, you need to ask your students to turn on their email notifications. When they do this, they will get an email every time you post an assignment for them, every time you post an announcement for them, and every time you comment or return an assignment to them. And during this time of distance learning, this is going to be essential, that the students are getting notified by email of the work that they need to do in Google Classroom. So sometime when you are making your next announcement to your students, make sure that they click this button. There's all different features, what they want to hear. And you as a teacher also have features. You can turn on or off notifications from different classes that you have. But for right now, I would tell the students to turn on everything.
Quick question on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're moving around, if they are going to find that location, if they first click on, what is that under? Which category?
Sure.
Where do you find that?
When they are in their basic homepage, which is what this looks like, right?
Yeah.
This is their classroom homepage. It's the 3 lines in the top left-hand corner.
Okay.
When they click on the 3 lines, they can get to their homepage, their calendar, their to-do list, and then all the way at the bottom, which shouldn't be so far for them, obviously, in the settings.
Thank you.
Is where you would find that. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the difficulties with learning all this stuff is where do you go to find the stuff to click on?
Yes. Well, we're going to be posting this video of the actual training, and we also, Maddie's posting a document that's a step-by-step guide through everything that we're talking about today.
That is
You can
great.
make a copy of and put in your drive. So that's going to be really helpful too. So let's talk about how we grade assignments once we actually post them. We talked about posting assignments, what that looks like for students. I'm going to show you an assignment that I have posted for my students a while back. It was an essay that we did. I'm going to show you what it looks like to actually grade assignments in Google Classroom. So when I go into an assignment and I click, view assignment, this is the view that I get as a teacher. On the left-hand side, it actually sorts my students' work by status. I can sort it by name, but I kind of like to know if I still have students who've turned it in. I have 2 students here who have turned in their essay for remediation. So they just turned it in. I don't know. Let's find out when they turned it in. Let's go here. So another thing I like in the teacher view is I can see the history of their submissions. I know exactly when this student turned in their work down to the time stamp of the original submission. So if you have something that's due at 4:30, it will actually timestamp it when they turn it in, and you will know exactly when they turn it in. Then you can actually see every time that the student has turned it in, every time that I have returned it to the student. So they just turned it in again this week. So that's kind of a really cool feature, is the see history. If you have very, very specific deadlines, it will timestamp their work for you. It shows you things that are missing, and then of course down at the bottom it'll show you things that have already been checked. So I'm going to go back in. This is what I see on this student's page. You can see that there's a couple documents here. Before I mentioned that Google Classroom here, if you're doing the grades, only does numeric grades, I sometimes will put their mastery levels right in the comments, private comments to the student. And I often do that just because it's hard for them to kind of translate numeric grades into mastery level grades. But if you do numeric grades, it would kind of help to be able to use this feature where instead of being ungraded, it could be graded. You have to decide that when you create the assignment. So I'm going to go into his work, show you what it looks like to actually grade a student's assignment. When you click in, it's going to show you all the attachments. So this student had a template that a rubric that I pushed out to them because I do a lot of feedback and comments on rubrics. His essay is here. And then he had to take some notes for me too in the process of the remediations that you saw just a second ago. So with Google Docs, one of the best ways to, and I'm going to open this completely so we can see it a little better. Best ways to grade and leave feedback for students are the Google Doc comments. And you can kind of see here when it loads. Hold on. Here we go. You can see some Google Doc comments on the right from this student. I'm going to click show more because you'll notice that he actually took some of his notes in the comments as well. And I was able to reply to him. You can actually use Google Doc comments as a running written conversation. He could reply back. I could reply back to him. So as you're working your way through a feedback process, especially with writing, this is extremely helpful to be able to do. You know, and that they show up as these yellow highlighted. Click on the yellow highlights, it will actually pop to the comment that goes with that highlight. The students can either leave them or resolve them when they're finished. I usually ask them to leave them so we can see our whole conversation. These green highlights are a little different. This is something new I did this year. Instead of written comments, because sometimes they take time, I wanted to do voice comments on my writing. So I looked up and found an add-on, and you can get add-ons for Google Docs specifically. I was testing a whole bunch out, but I found one I liked called Kazina. It's a very strange name. But Kazina is an add-on that allows you to do voice comments on Google Docs. And I'll show you what this looks like. Here we go. So you'll notice here that all of these little comments, I'm going to try to find one that's easy. Here's one. This student struggled a little bit with MLA when he first turned his essay in, and he's got it spot on now because we've had some chance to review it and take some notes. And but his first submission, I was able to leave a voice comment. So I'm going to play this for you so you can hear my voice comment to him.
No need for the PG period here. Just Lee and the page number is fine.
So he was struggling a little bit with, I'm assuming, parenthetical citations like these guys down here, right? And so I was able to leave him a voice comment to give him some suggestions. Now, there's another comment here right below it that looks exactly the same. That probably tells me that he was doing the same thing or making the same mistake throughout the essay, which often happens. So instead of just leaving a voice message, which I can do down here at the bottom with the microphone, I can also link a lesson to help him with some review of the concept that he's struggling with. Kazina had some lessons that were already loaded in. I got to choose like my subject area or whatever. But then I was able to actually create my own lessons and add my own videos in if I wanted to. So like this one, sentence structure, I added this one in, and this is a video that I actually created. So I did the same thing for him. I actually selected a lesson here with a video, and then these notes over here on the side are from this video that I asked him to watch and take notes on before he submitted the essay for remediation. So I think this is really cool, being able to leave the students not just written feedback or verbal feedback, but actual like lessons and resources that they could use to help them do better. So any questions about that kind of feedback and grading? Using the rubrics, I can then go back to the assignment, use the rubric, and assign him mastery levels. And that's kind of what I did here. So that's really kind of the way that I do my grading in Google Classroom. There is a grades section in Google Classroom as well. I'm going to show you that in a different class that I use more numeric grades in. So this is the PBL class. And I'm going to kind of show you what this looks like. The nice part about this is it looks like the old-fashioned grade books, kind of like it looks like what PowerSchool looks like, but it does not import directly to PowerSchool. So if you're using Google Classroom to put your grades in, let me see if I can find one, like over here. You can see this one right here has the grades 85 out of 100. Those are my proficients, right? My 100 out of 100 is my advanced. I would then, in turn, open up PowerSchool and transfer all of those from Google Classroom to PowerSchool. But there is an option for you to see all of the assignments and all the grades at one time. And then you have, of course, the students over here on the side. So any questions about grades and grading in Google Classroom? All right, we are getting close on time. I'm looking to see if there's anything that I have forgotten. I think I might pass it off to Maddie, because I think she's going to talk about originality reports really quick before our time is up. Are you good with that, Maddie? You got to unmute yourself, though. Hold on. I'm going to stop presenting.
I keep clicking the button and it wasn't working. Okay, I'm here now. I'm so sorry. Struggle's real. Yeah, so I'm going to quickly show you two little things. They're very quick. They're just little tidbits if you kind of get past the nitty gritty and you're like, oh, I want to try something else. Oops, let me present my screen very quickly. Okay. So it's loading. There we are. So the originality reports that she showed you that you could turn on assignments, I'm going to say again so that you can use them wisely. You only get 3 assignments you can do this with in your whole class. So you can think of that as like 3 times throughout the year in your class that you can do that. So this is one that I used to try it out with. And so notice after they turned it in, I now have this little message here that says 4 flagged passages. This will happen if the originality reports were turned on. And as Lisa said, they can run it first. So they will be notified that it's on and they can do the check originality before they turn it into you. So I'm going to click on it and it's going to show me. But the thing is, it's hard to see on your screen since it's displayed. But what you can see is like these little gray boxes. So when I click on it, it's going to show me what the student said and what the website said, so I can make the judgment call of, is that different enough? Is that an original thought? Is that what I intended for this lesson? So it will flag each comment and tell me where it came from and exactly how they compared the text. Now, something I forgot to say this morning, whoops, is originality does not cross-reference your students. So it won't say, does Molly's look the exact same as Joe's? It doesn't do that. It only compares it to internet sources. So this won't keep your kids from like copying and pasting from other students, but it will tell you if they copy and pasted from the internet when they weren't supposed to. Depends on your assignment. So that is originality reports. I'm going to quickly jump over to one more thing about commenting that I used a lot last year when I taught math. I don't use it as much this year, but just in case anybody could find it useful. Oh, as you can see here, this did not have an originality report on it, so I can do that. But if I click that, I've now used one of my, this is an old class, so it's fine, but I have now used one of my 3 assignments I can do that with. And I don't mean 3 students, I mean this whole assignment. Okay? So when I go here, so look, this was all original work because there's no flagged passages. It can't find anything on the internet that remotely matches this. So when I was teaching math, I would use this a lot because I would have to constantly comment on people's things such as, let's see, you did not use the order of operations. So I'm going to comment that here. Oops, I spelled operations wrong. Excuse that. Operations. And I'm going to say, man, it's like the 6th time I've commented that on student work today. I can click these 3 dots and add this to a comment bank. It'll let me edit it at this point just in case I use a student name or you misspelled something. Look at that. And hit add. Your comment bank can be found here. This will run assignment to assignment. So this is the whole class will have these things that you can pull from. Once you start getting a lot of them going, it's like, well, now it's just overwhelming to go and find them. So if I want to find them quicker, I can click add comment and you can use the hashtag or pound symbol, whatever you want to call it. And I can use keywords to go and find it. So if I want to put missing, so I know I was looking for the one that says, I think you're missing some information here. I can now just quickly comment that. So it's something that I think some people find handy, depends on the work you're grading. I think that was all I was going to go over. Really quickly, this is the header that I shared with you guys. I'm not going to take credit for this. I did not make it. The reason I use it is because it's the perfect size for the header. So you can make your own by just changing the background color just to make your class kind of unique. The joke I've been telling in all of these is I really love putting my Bitmoji on stuff for students. I don't think they love it as much, but it's for me. It's for the little things. So I like to use a lot of the government and economic ones. And then you could put like a little quote, your class title in a different way, etc. And download it as a JPEG and upload it to the, it would appear here. So that would look like, I can't remember which one I put it in because we have so many demo classes going. Who knows anymore? This one. So notice I have a little quote. and my Bitmoji. So if you want to snazz it up when you get bored one day. I think that's all. Does anybody have any? Oh, it looks like there was a question in the
There's
chat.
one more question, and I don't know the answer to it. They usually, our school sends us out a spreadsheet with all the students' emails in it, but it says, where do I go to find student email addresses?
Oh, after they've been added.
I'm
that's a
not
good question.
sure I'm not finding them in Google Classroom. Like I even went into like individual students under people. And that's something too that I could show you. When you click on an individual student, I'm going to steal the presentation
yep.
from you,
I don't know if I have to stop. There you
That's okay. I'm just going to steal it. So,
Brian, you're welcome.
If I'm in a class, so let me scoop this over here. Hold on. No, this one. And there we go. So now, if I'm in a class and I go up to people, you can actually click on any of your students individually. So I'm going to click on my first student here. And it will bring up an individual student view. It will actually show you every assignment that's been pushed out to the students, the status of those assignments, whether they're missing, whether they're turned in. But I can't seem to find the email.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
If I click right up here, click email student, thinking it would list it, and it doesn't. It just says send the email to the student or to the guardian, but it doesn't actually list
It won't work, yeah.
their email. So and you know, we can't, it doesn't work. So I'm not sure. That might be a question that you have to ask your school, because I know that our school pushes out a spreadsheet at the beginning of the year with the emails of all the students. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question.
Are you trying to find the emails to add the students? Because then I think it would be easier just to use the class code. But otherwise, if you are just trying to email your students, you can search the email bank, but I have had hit or miss luck with that.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I'm not sure. I'm so sorry.
All right, well, our time is about up. Actually, it is up. So if anybody has any last minute questions or any final questions, I'm going to stop presenting. Any final questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Now's a great time.
Oh, like they can't log into Google Classroom because they forgot their email completely. Ooh.
That might have to be a management thing through the school.
Yeah, I would put in because I know for each school they have that like IT person. So like our person, I know they had to like go in and change my son's like password because he forgot it. So I think that's an IT request through your school.
I think it might be.
I'm so sorry.
And hopefully they'll push out that information to you so that you can contact your students. You know, I think that's going to be really important maybe to ask for.
Yeah.
So.
And Lynn, I will be staying on for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
I've already got it set up and ready to go.
All right.
If anybody else is interested to see a short little Khan Academy demonstration, it has more than math. I'm happy to show it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it for Lynn. You're welcome to stay or go. But it's just a little quick way to and how to do assignments and track students.
All right. If there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. Thank you guys so much for coming to our session. Like I said, we're going to be posting the recording of this session on the original spreadsheet where you found the link. Once we can get it processed and uploaded, we'll go ahead and post that recorded one there. And then there's links to a step-by-step guide in our chat. So,
and I will post those one more time for those of you that are here, just in case you came in late. I'm sorry, I meant to do that.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Totally practical.